everybody, my name's Ashley and you are watching 3 Boys 2 Girls, and today I am joining in another collab, and this one is hosted by Ingrid from Mommy and Mia Homeschool Chronicles, as well as April from The Simple Rugged Path. And this is the Book of the Month collab where we go over the books that we have read in the last month. So this month actually will be a little bit different because I didn't do one for the month of April, so this will be books from April and May. You may have noticed I've taken a little bit of a YouTube hiatus. It's just been really crazy around here, so adding that in the mix was just super crazy. So anyway, so I will start with back in April. So the first book that I finished was The Philosopher's Flight, and this is by Tom Miller. And it was a really good read. I got this from the Book of the Month Club. I know I've mentioned it before on my channel, but I will put the link below. It's just a monthly subscription box where there are 5 books and you get to choose whichever one that you want for the month. I think it's like $15 a month and free shipping, so they ship you a new hardback book. I love it because they're all the same size, so they line up on the shelf really nicely. But also you can add up to 2 other books each month for $9.99. So for 10 bucks for a good hardback book. And I gotta say, when I look on like Pinterest or a lot of the other places where they have book lists, I see a lot of the Book of the Month books on there. So definitely check it out. If you like books, I would check out doing the Book of the Month Club. Anyway, back to the story, The Philosopher's Flight. So what this story is about is it is about an 18-year-old boy named Robert, and he is a philosopher, it's a type of basically magic, and his mother was a philosopher as well, and his mother actually fought in a war. So let's back up a little bit. So the story is based in like 1910, and where there is like this fictional warfare going on. I know that there were wars during 1910, but this kind of makes it seem like this could almost happen. It's really well written and kind of woven into the story. So they are these basically like magicians. They call them philosophers, but they are fighting the war as well. So each philosopher has a different gift, you could say. And so some people can fly and are able to change, manipulate the elements like the wind. Some people can manipulate time. Some people can like change place. Like they would go in a circle and they can, a philosopher can like move a group of people. So like that's like flying modern day. And so they would like all get in this group of circle and then would fly. There are some hazards along with that. Like if they draw the circle too small, they could like cut people in half and people would die. I mean, it's actually quite interesting. But anyway, so the main character, Robert, his mother fought in the war and is kind of like the search and rescue philosopher. And so she flies and can put people in what's called stasis and then carry them to safety. So she would fly in, she would get a call. They have like these little tablets where they can like write messages to each other, like modern day texting. I just love like the modern day twists that are put in there through magic. It's awesome. So they would write little messages to each other. And so she would get a message, go to the place where it was supposed to, you know, wherever people were in trouble, and then she would put them in what's called stasis, where they would kind of just like, you know, their body functions would just slow down really far, which would allow them to fly without, you know, them wiggling around and stuff. So he has helped his mom do that on a couple, you know, runs to help people. Well, this one run was a pretty bad one, and his mom actually got lost and injured. And so he actually like carried 3 people, and it was like this heroic thing, because in this story, it's mostly the women who are successful. Or, I shouldn't say successful. It's women dominate the philosophy field. There are very few men who have these powers to do such a thing, and the least amount of men in the flying category. And so for him to fly as good as he does and do that part of philosophy as good as he does is very rare. And so when he helps his mom kind of take care of those people, people take notice. And so he's then gets into college at this, you know, mostly it's females, because most females are the ones that go. There's a couple other boys, but to be a flyer. And so it's just kind of this story through being in school, learning how to fly, learning the different parts of philosophy, and then just falling in love. There's a little bit of that in there, but this was just a really good book. It was really cool to see the gender roles reversed and having females being the lead in this vocation, and having a man kind of break through and you know, just kind of that reversal of roles. So it was a really good read. I enjoyed it. And so I would probably, I don't ever rate stuff, so I guess I could do like a 4 out of 5 stars if I were to rate it. But it was pretty good. The next book that I read in the month of April was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I think that's how you say her name. And this was, again, a fantastic read. Again, it has to do with magic. I don't know, I guess I read a couple magic books in a row, but this is set as kind of a dystopian setting, and in this land there is a race that is magic, and they are known as the Magi. And then in this kingdom, and actually they have, so inside the front cover then is like the map. I love when books include maps. I think that's super fun, but it really gives you a feel of where everything is at and what they're talking about. So in this land, then in this kingdom, the king is scared of the Magi because at any point they can overpower. And again, in this book, each Magi kind of has a different skill level, and so you don't know what they are, and so this Magi then could overpower this kingdom, and so they get scared, and so they go and they slaughter all of the Magi. And you can kind of see the white hair coming up here. The Magi is known from its white hair, and so anybody that had white hair was killed, was slaughtered. And so this generation then, they still had kids, however, and so you don't come into your magic by until the age of 13 or something like that. So this is the story of a girl who is just on the cusp of coming to age, and how she is going to save the magic and bring the magic back into their land. And it is a fantastic read. It really kind of shines a light also on racism, and how it does kind of have that theme in there a little bit, but I honestly just read it for the story, but if you want to look at modern themes, you can bring that into it as well. But it did kind of end in a cliffhanger, so I think that there will be a sequel. So I'm not really sure, but I did enjoy this book. Again, I gave it probably a 4 out of 5. The third book that I read in April, I actually do not have anymore because it had to go back to the library, but it was part of the Anne Charles Deadwood series. And so if you've heard me talk about Deadwood series, if you've been watching any of my videos for Book of the Month, I've read at least once a month this whole year so far. So it was number 8 in the Deadwood series. It was called Rattling the Heat in Deadwood. And I gotta say, this Deadwood series is awesome. It is about a woman, her name is Violet, and she moves back to Deadwood, South Dakota. And if you don't know, I live in Eastern South Dakota. I was actually born out in the hills, which is where this takes place. So it just resonates with me from the get-go. But I also used to read a lot of Janet Ivanovich, the Stephanie Plum novels, and this is just really very similar to that. So it's hilarious, it's witty. Like I was saying, it's a girl, her name is Violet Parker, and she is moving back to Deadwood to start over. And so she is a real estate agent trying to just make her way with her two twin children. There's a boy and a girl. And she meets a wonderful guy, and she realizes that she has a lot more to herself than she thought originally. It kind of deals with demons a little bit and ghosts and has a little bit of a paranormal feel to it, but it's definitely a suspense novel, and I literally just stay up at night and just read. So if you like Stephanie Plum, definitely give it a shot. I love it, so I can't recommend it enough. So Rattling the Heat in Deadwood was the third one that I read in the month of April. The last one for the month of April was actually our read aloud, and it took us forever to do a read aloud. And so this one was called The Goblin's Puzzle. This is by Andrew S. Chilton, and this was part of the Build Your Library Family Reading Crate for, I don't even know, I want to say the month of March. It is The Goblin Puzzle, being the adventures of a boy with no name and two girls called Alice. And it was an interesting story. The kids really liked it. It, however, was kind of a hard read aloud for me to like. The words didn't just flow as well, and I was actually done with the story. The kids really liked it, but I was kind of just done with the story actually. So I would probably give it only like a 2.5 or 3 stars. However, the kids would definitely rate it higher. So I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it. It's about this. There's 3 different storylines going on at the same time. So it's about this slave boy who wants to obey his master and who's just thought he was a slave, and you know, my fate is that I'm a slave and I can't go against my fate, and or I will basically, you know, be tortured, you know, for eternity. And then there was this plain Alice, they call her, where she is just like a country girl and is not really anything special, and she gets kidnapped by a dragon. And the dragon makes a mistake, however, because he was supposed to kidnap Princess Alice, and obviously who is a princess and who is the one that was supposed to be ransomed, and he captures the wrong one. So they have to save plain Alice, and then they have to save the real Alice, and so it's a good kids one. I was done with it. So I would give it 2.5, but I think the kids would probably give it about at least a 3.5, if not 4. So that's it for the month of April. I only finished 4 books in the month of April, but that's kind of right on schedule. 4 books a month is kind of what I'm hoping to do. Gosh, this cat wants attention. This is Charlie. We call him Sir Charles. He's actually he was a stray that just kind of showed up on our doorstep. We live out in the country. It happens more often than you think. So for the month of May now, the first book that I read in the month of May was another Ann Charles, and this is Jackrabbit Junction Jitters. This is a Jackrabbit Junction mystery, and I did read the first one of hers, and I think I gave a review of it back in January. I want to say January or February. It was like right at the beginning of the year. This one is signed, by the way. Actually, it's signed twice because she put the stickers in there, but Ann Charles is from Deadwood, and so her mom, I think, still lives in Deadwood, and so there's like a little candy shop that she drops off some books for and stuff. So, and all of them are signed. So I picked up this one there. But this is number 2. I did read the first one. It was called The Dance of the Winnebagos. And that one, I kind of was harsh on that one. I just thought that it was really sexual without any like kind of relationship building first. And so I was kind of hard on that. I was not going to give up that easy. I did give the second one a chance. And so this one was Jackrabbit Junction Jitters, and I gotta say I'm glad that I gave it a second chance because it was really good. In the Deadwood series, this is gonna be confusing here. So in the Deadwood series, the main character's best friend, her name is Natalie. Natalie's cousin is actually the main character of this book. And so they kind of overlap and stuff, and so you kind of have like parallel storylines going on. So that's really fun whenever you're reading 2 series and you have characters kind of make cameos, and it kind of makes that family sense. I don't know, I really like it. But so the Jackrabbit Junction Jitters is basically about a girl who is in charge of basically watching over her grandpa while her grandpa goes to meets up with his buddies at this Winnebago park out in the Arizona desert. She has to go along to basically keep an eye on her grandpa, and she kind of falls in love there, and it's a good story. It's just the first one was just moved a little too fast sexually for me, but I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in the month of May was Shadow Song by S.J. Jones. And I read Winter Song a couple months ago, basically a retelling of the Labyrinth. And it is about a girl who is caught in this magical world of goblins and all of those mythical creatures, and for the earth to keep its balance, and for the earth, for the spring to renew itself, renew the earth, there needs to be some sort of sacrifice. And so there is the goblin bride that goes down, and a woman has to be sacrificed and live underground. And so I'm not giving anything away from the first one. So that's the storyline of the first one. This was the a sequel. However, I will say that, and the author actually kind of talks about it a little bit, where there is like a bipolar personality that comes out in here. So it's really interesting to take a look at that side of things. And so it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it, both of them, Winter Song and Shadow Song. So again, I would probably say 4 out of 5. I'm pretty stingy on like my 5 out of 5s. Like I can't, you know, put them down. So the next book that I read in the month of May was Cleaning House. And this is by Kay Wills Wyma. And this is a story about, this is a nonfiction story. And this is about a mom and her 12-month experiment to rid her kids of youth entitlement. Archer, don't do that. So basically it goes through, and she tries one experiment each month. So the first month was, okay, you have to have your room cleaned. And so for 1 month they like focused on that. And then the next month they kept adding new things in. And so by the 12th month, they were doing like 12 new things. And anyway, it was really good. I think that youth entitlement is huge, and my kids are guilty of it too. So this was a really interesting read. I really enjoyed it. Okay, the last book that I read in May was Anne Charles' Gone Haunting in Deadwood. And this is the 9th book, and I already explained the series to you once before, so I won't do it again, but I loved this one. Gosh, it was really good. So I would say 4.5 stars for this one. It's just the saga continues with Violet Parker. That is everything. Those are all the books that I read this month. Please take a look, take a second to take a look at Ingrid's channel, Mommy and Mia Homeschool Chronicles, as well as April's channel at The Simple Rugged Path, and there is a playlist below that I will link, and you can check out what everybody is reading this month. If you have a good read that you recommend, you know, let me know. Leave it in the comments below. I love book recommendations. So thank you guys so much for watching. Bye. Say bye, Richard.